Good morning, everyone. Our cold front system is well passing through in the region with windy conditions well behind the system with severe weather that is going to be prominent as we head into the overnight hours well off into the eastern portions into tonight with blizzard and snow-like conditions on the backhand side of the system. So this system is a very active system that is tracking and giving everyone more of those major impacts across the board with already us having blowing dust advisories until 7 a.m. into 9 p.m. Central Time as we head into tonight. But temperatures across the board are relatively into those 50s, 60s, and 70s, 70 degrees walking out the door in San Angelo with already in Midland, Odessa looking at a southwest flow around up to 20 miles per hour persistent, but gusts already near 60 miles per hour heading into Hobbs near 40 in Seminole, 30 in Fort Stockton. A little bit more of these purple colors are wind gusts that are well over 50 to 55 miles per hour with the cold front centered in right here right now, well passing into San Angelo and Abilene, already entering more so those eastern portions, elevating those winds up to near 30 miles per hour already. But we did just get a report of those already between low visibilities and those higher winds along 285 in between Artesia and up heading into near Roswell, and we could definitely see a little bit more of that low visibility right here. So definitely just keep that in mind if you are fixing to head out for your morning commute. If you do see any reports on the roads or if you see any type of blowing dust on the roads, just make sure to report that to us and so we can be able to get in with those latest details. But high wind warnings are going to be into effect heading into 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. heading with the wind advisory 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. as well with high wind warnings that's going to be in effect until 1 a.m. more so for our western portions, and we're looking at winds that are going to be very elevated, which is why we have that red flag warning that's going to be in place. That means conditions are going to be more favorable for that fire spread, so you're just going to need to keep that in mind and just stay weather aware and just keep activities very minimal and not at all that could potentially produce a spark because the winds are going to be gusty. We're looking between 60 to 70 miles per hour along into kind of this orange colors, but more of the gusty winds are going to be into the Permian Basin, a little bit more on the lighter winds into the Big Country, Contra Valley, are looking at more around 50 to 60 miles per hour into the regions with more of those gustier winds that's also going to be present into more so the Trans-Pecos, but more of our western portions are looking at more of those higher winds that's going to be persistent, which is why that high wind warning is in effect until 1 a.m. into the overnight tomorrow. 65 to 75 mile per hour gusts along of our highest mountaintops. We're looking at winds near up to 100 miles per hour. So I have the worst of the winds between 11 to 7 p.m. Here's 8 a.m. for the morning commute. There could be already areas of blowing dust, which we're already seeing reports of blowing dust northwest of here into the Permian Basin, especially getting into the Big Country and Contra Valley, especially as we head into the afternoon into 2 p.m. Blowing dust is going to be widespread. There is going to be travel issues, especially if you're driving on north-south roads. The winds is not going to be able to help you, especially if you're driving a bigger truck. It could easily cause more of those issues for a potential tip over. So just drive slow and take your time as we go throughout much of the day. But the winds are still going to even be a little elevated as we head into the nighttime hours, especially more into our mountain regions. But there's not going to be a little bit more on those calmer conditions that's going to persist. But heading into our Saturday, we're still going to be looking at winds, but more of those elevated winds are going to be more so into our southern portions that have those winds between 25 to 45 in areas where we see the purple, but more so 15 to 30 along more so our northern portions for those gusts up to 45 miles an hour. But as we head into our Sunday, we're going to have this system that is going to move out with that severe weather threat, and then behind the system we're going to have a little bit of high pressure that is going to settle into the region, giving us a little bit more of that kind of breezy northwesterly flow around 15 to 25 miles per hour, gusts up to 30 for our Sunday. So I'm not looking at any widespread fire threats heading into our Sunday, but more so once we get a little bit more so into our Monday and Tuesday, our southerly winds are going to pick back up, allowing us to warm up into the 80s and 90s with gusts nearly up to 35 miles per hour. But I am tracking another system heading into our Wednesday. It's going to be another cold front, and it may bring in more windy conditions back into the forecast with that west wind. So weather impact alert for today for that blowing dust and fire weather concerns as we head in throughout much of the day, but we are going to warm up as we head into the early parts of next week.